Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show.
On a beach in the sand, I think of you. I think of you. Did you realize I love you all my life? And when you're gone, I'm all alone.
Welcome back. Well, we missed you last time because I'm recording an album. Believe it or not, at my age, I have a nephew who's he just acquired a overseas distribution deal. So, since I have a few more songs in me, and so we're going to be doing distribution things over there. But anyway, however, I last explained a story that I need to recap because we're going to tell the dramatic conclusion of that story. If you remember, or you can look back at the last show, it was a story that had a very good, very large spiritual component to it. Those are the only kind of stories that I tell here, and that's my reason to try to convince people that the spiritual side of things that I'm talking about is not experimentally known, but it's experientially known. You will come to know that everything I'm saying is true by your experience. I'm telling you experiences that happened to me. Well, actually, all these things are happening to you, but it's underneath layers of misinformation. Misinformation given by philosophy and religion. Religion tells you that life is this way and life is that way, but the only way life really is, it's a very simple thing. You have the creator of the universe, and you have spirits that are a part of him. And that's what you are. You have the creator, a spirit that's a part of him that is trying to mold an avatar, a human being with a brain, a random brain, and that's listening to everybody. But this is where the real information lies, because the whole purpose simply is that the creator is expanding. The way the creator expands is he uses a piece of him to learn things from things that have free will, for instance. It's like when a human being does things that the creator couldn't even imagine, really. The creator could imagine it, but he's not doing it. It's like when you see people creating bombs and blowing up things, The creator cannot blow up things because it's antithetical to creation. You can't be a creator and a destroyer at the same time. It's two different things. That's like a split. That's like saying God, the creator, has a split personality. Well, he does not have a split personality. So he's basically, if he's going to see the opposite of the kinds of things he's capable of seeing, he does it by having human type beings with free will that's going to do all the things he wouldn't do. And so it gives basically what it's doing is giving the creator another dimension that he could not create for himself. He can do anything except act as horribly as some of us do. And especially some of us who are claiming to do what we do in the name of God. See, so we use the name of God to do some of the worst things ever. This is what life is about. So this is another story, a very good story in synchronicity. Where I left off was a story about a female that I had started dating. My management company suggested that I dated this woman to help me out with the day-to-day things that were going on. And she happened to be the sister to the group Earth, Wind, and Fire. And she had a twin sister. My manager's assistant met her through her twin sister. He had gone out with both of them, and he thought one of them would be good for me to handle my day-to-day stuff. This was my management company. She was an entertainment attorney. She would be very helpful. She wanted to help with the Curt Williams project. Curt Williams project was a project to be the next Teddy Pendergrass, because Teddy had just had his accident and didn't seem like he was going to recover. So they were trying to find out who was going to be the next Teddy. My manager had an office in the Valley. They moved their office to Beverly Hills, bought a limousine to handle the meetings and everything that we're going to have. They had a budget to spend on me of about, it could have been around, it was millions of dollars, really, because that's what it takes. Because if you're going to make it in this business, you have to do it independently, or you're going to have to do it P. Diddley. I mean, back in my days, it was Quincy Jones. You have to get mixed up in that kind of drama, which is the same kind of thing. So if you either do it independently or P. Diddley. P. Diddley means, in my opinion, doing it in such a way that if you're an artist and you try to get away and do something other than what they want you, they have a way to reel you back in. They use videos to do that, blackmail and all kinds of things like that. This is the kind of thing that's been going on forever. But I had a management company that didn't need all that. They had enough funds they thought they had enough funds to handle the whole thing because of a lawsuit they had going with RCA Records that they in fact won. They had an award of multi-million dollars, and as soon as that happened, RCA filed bankruptcy and said, we don't have it no more. So they were struggling with all that, but at the same time, I was going to be their artist. You know, one of the ways that you create these artists is you make sure you don't give DJs money per se, but you give them opportunities. You give them interviews. You give them parties to go to. You give them incentives. They call that payola, but it's called incentives. So that's how they break an artist and make. So we were prepared to do all this. And then along came Luther Vandross. my people didn't get the money from RCA, and then along came Luther Vandross. So anyway, we didn't get to be the next Teddy Pendergrass. But anyway, I was telling a story about this woman who was in my life now, Earth, Wind, and Fire's sister, and I was breaking up with her, and she ended up committing suicide in a hotel, and they blamed me for it. On the day that I broke up with her, the day before she so-called killed herself, I got a message from my spirit saying, you miss your ex-girlfriend, call her up. You miss your ex-girlfriend. So I called her up, and I told her I needed to see her, you know, and when I went to see her, I explained to her about my relationship with this new girl, Earth, Wind, and Fire's sister. And so this woman that I called up just so happened to be a hairstylist who did the hair of Earth, Wind, and Fire's older sister, their real sister. And she assured me that the girl I was talking to was not a sister of nobody. You know, that was not, she was lying the whole time. And she also knew that she didn't have a twin. You know, she even called up Earth, Wind, and Fire's sister and said, hey, there's this girl saying that. So she basically confirmed. She said, we know who that is. She's been doing that for a while. And no, she's not her sister, and she doesn't have a twin. So I knew at that point there was one person. I got home the next day. She called me up and told me, my manager's assistant called me up and told me that I had to get out of town because there were people looking for me because they were holding me responsible for the death of their sister, who I had been dating. And when he told me that, I realized I had just found out the night before that this was a fraud, that it was one girl and she was not the sister of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and she's making it all up. And so he told me, you better really get out of town now because this sounds crazier than, you know, the foregoing. So anyway, that's when I told you the girl ended up calling me and said, our sister passed away and we just want to know what happened to her because the last thing we heard was she was going out with you and then something happened in you guys' relationship and now she's dead. And my brothers and I, we want to talk to you to find out what happened. And that's when I told him, you know, very calmly, I told him, good, because your girl wasn't about nothing in the first place. And she went berserk. So that's where the story ended. The story ended with her going berserk, because I told her sister who died wasn't about nothing, and she ought to be glad she's dead. Knowing that there wasn't a real person. At least I was hoping that my ex-girlfriend was correct. There was still part of me that was a little nervous about it. Like, what if Denise is not correct? You have just insulted some people about their sisters, and you're gonna have, you know, you got a lot of explaining to do with this. So anyway, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on the phone. How could you talk about our sister like that? How can you, Mom? Like, yeah. You know she wasn't about nothing. And all this. This went on and on. And then it got violent. Then she started threatening my family. And I'm like, look, I have a management company that's not to be played with. You need to cut this stuff out. And she explained that if anything happens to my family, twice as much because it's going to happen to yours and all this kind of drama. This is gangster stuff, but my people were gangsters for real. And at this point, they were saying, Curt, make sure you're out of town and you're around a bunch of people that can verify your location. And all we need is her address, and we understand that she has your wallet. So we're going to get your wallet and get her address, and we're going to finish this. So I started explaining to her that things have gotten way out of hand, and it's gotten way over anything I would want to be responsible for, and she needs to stop it right now. Well, I'm not stopping nothing because I'm telling you the truth and blah blah blah. Just at that point, my spirit started speaking through me. Every now and then it happens where my spirit says, okay, let me handle this one from here. So what came out of my mouth was a barrage of something. I was hearing it at the first time, during the first time I was saying it. And I can assure you, it was not coming from me. I was saying things that were 4 times faster than I could ever talk. And it was a barrage of, you really, really need to stop doing what you are doing Because if you don't, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and this, then, a whole rapid fire. And I'm going, wow. And as soon as I stopped, I took a deep breath, and so did she. And she said, okay, Curt, the jig is up. All right, you win, and I ain't dead. I said, wow. Really? And she started laughing, and I was so happy that she wasn't dead, I started laughing too. I said, girl, what is all this? What is all this about? She said, well, I'm going to tell you what really happened. Now, if you think that the story to this point was crazy, it got even worse. It became even more unbelievable when she started telling me what really happened. She said that she was in a sorority of black models that hang out, about 15, 20, 30 of them, whatever. They hang out, and sometimes they go to New York and hang out. They come to LA because they have a lot of money. They're bored. They have to have something to do. So every now and then they will play a prank on somebody. And so remember in the story, I told you that one of the first gigs I did with my management company was I was in the Mr. Black Los Angeles contest. One of the models was at that particular contest, and she saw me win, and at the same time she saw my management company that was there. And she was able to look them up and find them. And she was like, this guy is feeling real good about himself. Why don't we play a prank on him? And so she got together with some of her female models and was deciding what kind of prank they could run on me. And so they came up with the craziest thing of, hey, why don't we see if one of us can date him for 30 days? And you're going to have to get his heart. You're going to have to really be in a relationship with him. But you have to pretend to be a twin sister of who you really are. Have a relationship pretending to be the twin sister of who you are, and we'll all put up money, and whoever volunteers to take on the task first gets the pot. And if you don't get it, then we'll keep it going for however long we want to, till we get tired of this one. So the girls said, okay, we got to meet the guy. We got to see who this guy is. So she told me, Curt, remember months ago, you were going to a club called the Greenhouse. This is how I know she was telling the truth, because she knew about this club that I went to. The club called the Greenhouse on Wilshire. She said there was a night when 10 of us showed up to see who you were. We didn't come in the club. We came in the door and we kind of stood. If you remember, there was 10 ladies standing by the door. We all looked like we had just pulled the rollers out of our hair, threw on something real quick. We didn't look like we was going to no club. We just came to see who you were, who our next victim was going to be. And we stood there. And I kind of remember looking over and seeing a group of girls that didn't quite look like they were ready for prime time, and they walked back out. You know, and they were tall. And so, but I didn't see their faces or anything. I just happened to. So they were staring at me going, okay, this is the guy we're running the prank on. Cool. One of the girls, which was a girl when I was volunteered to be the first person to try to win the pot. So she immediately called my management company and told her she had some double exposure pictures taken of her and her sister, or her and herself. And she went to my management company and introduced herself as Earth, Wind, and Fire's sister, and blah, 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 blah. She was an attorney, and blah, blah, blah. So she's talking to my manager's assistant. And so he starts telling her about the different artists that they're working on. They're working on the next Teddy Pendergrass, a guy named Curt. She said, well, maybe I can help with him. And so they're the ones that got the plan together that she was going to help out with the day-to-day stuff and stuff. She knows all about the business because of her brothers, and of course there'll be a great connection and all that. And just so happens that my management company had produced Earth, Wind, and Fire's first 2 or 3 albums. So there was a relationship there that had already gotten started. So that's when he introduced her to me, you know, at the heavyweight fight, like I told you in the last episode. It might behoove you to go and see the last one to make the story cohesive. I'm trying to explain to you, but it's kind of, it was confusing anyway. So anyway, I started dating the girl. And then everywhere I went, there would be a famous black model. It would be one time in a grocery store, one time at a movie theater, one time in a nightclub. They would just pass by, but what they were doing surveillance to make sure we were getting along, making sure we were having a relationship. To the extent to where when I took her to the show, she said one of them even leaned over to make sure she saw what she was doing to me with her hand. Anyway, we were having a relationship like adults. Not adults, but like 30-year-olds. So anyway, she explained to me that when I decided to break up with her, that's when she realized she was going to lose the money. So she was like, this bee is going to have to die. Because she felt like if she's going to lose that much money behind me, she's going to make me suffer. She's going to make me think I was responsible for a girl committing suicide. She was going to make me think it was a Grammy Award winning band that was out to get me. She was going to make me suffer. She was telling me that my family was going to suffer. Everybody was going to suffer. She wanted me to feel the pain she was feeling because she wasn't going to get that money. So she was telling me that all of these kind of things is pranks that they pull on people every now and then. So anyway, the girl and I, we started laughing about the whole thing. It was a lot of excitement, a lot of adventure, and it didn't bother me. I was just so relieved that I was out of the situation. But understand the reason why I'm telling this story. It's always going to be because of the spiritual component of the story. I started going out with this woman, and then my spirit knew that I was about to get into a fix. So what my spirit did was simply made me aware of who this woman was. What my spirit did was let me know this was a fake and a fraud situation, and that the girl was still alive, and that this information was coming to me from my ex-girlfriend. In other words, my spirit informed me through my ex-girlfriend that this girl was a fake, or I would have believed she had passed away, and I was in a lot of danger and a lot of heartbreak to be had. One of the other things that happened as a result of this, there was a very great concert promoter and party promoter in the Los Angeles area by the name of Roland Wirt. Well, Roland, I saw him one afternoon, and I was happy to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. And I said, what's going on, Roland? How you been? He said, well, I'm working on some really big stuff right now. He said, I'm working on a project with a young lady who is the sister of Earth, Wind, and Fire. And she also has a twin sister, and we're going to go into business together and handle all this stuff. I said, what'd you say her name was? So he told me her name, and I said, okay. So she's a sister to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and she's a twin. I said, Roland, all you need to do is to tell that woman that you know Curt Williams, and that'll be the end of that. Because I'm sure she was like, okay, I'm going to have to move on to another target, because Curt's going to tell Roland exactly who I am, and the jig will be done. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to all this. We have more spiritual linkage type stories for you, the ones that they're called synchronicities. There are a lot of synchronicities to be had once you connect with your spirit. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back for the next episode. Thank you.
Love me too, love me too, love me too. Right there, right there. Love me too. Love me too. Love me too. Love me too. Love me yeah, right there. Love me too. Yeah, right there. Love me too.
Subscribe and push the like button.